How politics and government work in Singapore is quite unique. We have put enormous emphasis on the quality of government, the public service as well as the political leadership. We have gone to great lengths to recruit the best people we can find to enter politics, join the government and serve Singapore. This quality of government, coupled with the trust and support of Singaporeans, enables us to deal with problems rationally, comprehensively, and effectively. Jean-Claude Juncker, he was Prime Minister of Luxembourg, and more recently he was President of the European Commission. He said this about European politics and politicians: we all know what to do. We just don't know how to get re-elected after we've done it. We all know what to do. We just don't know how to get re-elected after we've done it. But in Singapore, the PAP government has been able to do the right thing for Singaporeans, sometimes difficult and hard things, and still get re-elected. Sometimes we've paid a price in the vote, but overall, we have continued to win elections. And therefore, the government has been able to think long-term, well beyond the next general election. We have no incentive to kick the can down the road, because down the road we will very likely meet the can ourselves again. And therefore we make plans over 50, 60 years, or in the case of climate change, 100 years. As a result, the country progresses, Singapore benefits, and the PAP continues to win elections, so far. It's a virtuous, self-reinforcing cycle. This model has worked well for Singapore. Once broken, it will be very difficult to put back together again. Several years ago, I made a trip to a former communist country in Europe, quite a big one. A distinguished business group hosted me to dinner. Serious-minded people interested in Singapore, some of them knowledgeable about Singapore. They asked me how the Singapore government operates, how we have made Singapore succeed. I gave them my usual answers: our strong anti-corruption stance, our long-term planning, our unremitting efforts to promote social inclusion. My hosts looked at one another in amazement. They shook their heads, they chatted away in Russian. Several countries speak Russian. They were familiar with how the politics in their own country worked. To them, what I described was completely unimaginable. Surely it cannot happen in this real world. But it happens here in Singapore, and every one of us thinks that it's just normal. But even in Singapore, it is not normal at all. It's the result of sound politics, hard work, and the will to pull together, and make Singapore a success. It's path dependent. We have come this way, we have kept it like this. It's like being in the Garden of Eden. Things are going right, they stay right. You leave the Garden of Eden, you cannot go back. Can it continue to work like this? With more diversity and contestation? Can we keep our focus on the long term and plan and build ahead for Singapore? How long can Singaporeans vote for the opposition in some constituencies in the expectation that somehow, somewhere else, their fellow Singaporeans will ensure that the PAP's return to power? Can we continue to get good people into politics, to maintain the quality of our ministers and MPs, and make things happen for Singapore? If more and more citizens prefer the PAP to form the government and yet vote for another party's candidates to be their MPs, for diversity, for checks and balance. At what point does a vote for a strong opposition become a vote for a different government? Is it really true that one day, if there's a change of government, a new party can run Singapore equally well because we have such a good public service, as Mr. Pritam Singh suggested on Monday? It's like saying you have the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, anybody can be the conductor. These questions have no easy answers. In the nature of politics and of human societies, things can and do go wrong. Each successive generation of Singaporeans has to keep on doing its best to keep the system working right. The PAP feels acutely its special responsibility to keep on doing its best for Singapore and keep Singapore working in this unique way. That is our sacred mission. We will do our utmost to persuade good men and women to enter politics, to take over the torch and lead the next generation forward. We will fight hard to win the hearts and minds of Singaporeans and win every vote and show Singaporeans that the PAP continues to deserve their support and trust. Of course, there's no guarantee that even under a PAP government, Singapore will forever be successful. Now the world is not quite the same as it used to be. Our streets and our skies are quieter. I received a foreign visitor recently. She said she felt sad when she came through Changi Airport. It used to be bustling, crowded, full of life. Now is deathly silent. When Changi Airport first opened in 1981, it was a coming out party for Singaporeans of that generation. We were so proud of it. When someone was flying out, the whole extended family would come to Changi Airport to see him or her off, and at the same time take pictures with a trishaw display and the water features. I remember it fondly. I suppose it dates me. It was a dream come true. Over the years, we expanded Terminal 1 and built T2, T3, and now T4. We built Changi up into the best airport, home to the best airline in the world. Then we conceived and built Jewel. When Jewel opened, Singaporeans took immense pride in it. I showed it off in my National Day rally last year to demonstrate what we are capable of and explain why Singaporeans can look forward to limitless possibilities for our nation. But Jewel too went dark during the circuit breaker. 40 years of building up our airport and airline, COVID-19 came and all that suddenly came to a halt. So what now? We have survived many life and death crises before. Singapore was born from crisis. We didn't know whether we could survive after separation and the British withdrew east of Suez. We rode through major economic storms like the Asian financial crisis and the global financial crisis, not knowing if we would sink or swim. But each time we did survive and actually came back stronger. Each time the dire circumstances became the occasion and the platform for ambition and daring. And each time we transcended ourselves and built again. We should fight COVID-19 with hope in our hearts because there is a silver lining. This searing experience will help a whole new generation of Singaporeans appreciate, treasure what we have and what makes us an exceptional nation. We are here by dint of will and imagination. In defiance of all the odds, and of all those who said we wouldn't make it, we did. As in all the previous crises, COVID-19 will be the occasion for us to do better, emerge stronger, and become more united. Do not doubt. Do not fear. Jewel will shine again. Changi will thrive again. SIA will be a great way to fly once more. Our economy will prosper anew. Our children and our grandchildren will continue marching forward to build a fairer, ever more just and equal society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.